Have you ever felt awkward around people who seem perfect, except for you? Have you noticed suspicious glances, subtle distancing, or remarks that sound like hidden criticism, even though you haven't said anything wrong? If this happens to you, know that it's not about your personality, but about the quiet power of your aura. Today, you will finally understand what Carl Jung revealed about this, and how this truth can completely change your perception of relationships and your own worth. That's a promise. If you watch until the end, you'll discover that your feeling of not belonging was never a flaw. It has always been an invisible sign of something that only a few possess, an aura too strong for ordinary minds to grasp. Moreover, you will learn how to transform this power, which today might isolate you, into your greatest protection and your truest calling. Carl Jung, one of the greatest explorers of the human soul, perhaps never used the word aura as modern spiritualists do. Yet everything he wrote about the unconscious, the shadow, and the process of individuation pointed to this invisible force that some carry within themselves without even realizing it. A presence that precedes words, an energy that speaks before gestures, a truth that shines and unsettles before you even introduce yourself. What exactly is this aura that so many talk about? Is it just empty mysticism, a self-help fantasy? No. For Jung, our existence goes far beyond what we can see, touch, or measure. Each of us is a living field of psychic energy, a constellation of consciousness and contradictions, hidden desires, and forgotten potentials. When you begin to integrate these inner forces, when you stop hiding your light and your shadows, something changes. Something inside you no longer asks permission to exist, and in that moment your aura ignites. A powerful aura is not a reward for the chosen few. It's a byproduct of courage. Courage to face yourself, to accept yourself, and not to sell out for superficial approval. Courage to endure the loneliness that precedes true connection. And this is where the trouble, or rather the reactions, begin. Because, as Jung once wrote, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid confronting their own soul. Imagine most people living like actors in a play. They wear masks, play roles, follow unspoken scripts to be accepted. Now imagine you enter this theater without a mask, without a script, without pretending. You say nothing, you simply exist, and inadvertently reveal everything others try to hide from themselves. You become a mirror that doesn't lie, a mirror that exposes the wrinkles, cracks, and distortions many would rather never see. And then come the awkward looks, the conversations that quiet down as you approach, the forced smiles, the feeling that you are too intense, too truthful, too confusing. But is the problem really you? Or does your presence simply reveal how accustomed the world is to living in the shadow of itself? Jung teaches us that we all project, that everything we deny in ourselves we eventually see in others, either admiring or despising it. When your aura is strong, you inevitably disrupt these unconscious mechanisms. You don't fit in, you don't soften the atmosphere, you don't reinforce collective lies. And for those who built their identity on illusions, you are an unbearable threat. Have you ever noticed that in some places, your mere presence seems to change the atmosphere? That strangers behave either overly open or, conversely, closed off and defensive without any clear reason. Maybe you've been accused of arrogance just for speaking your honest truth. Maybe you've been called different in a way that wasn't flattering. Maybe you were rejected not because something was missing in you, but because there was something inside you others didn't know how to handle. That something is the energy you radiate. It's invisible to the eye but felt on the skin, in the primal instincts of those who cross your path. But where does this power come from? It's not born from magic formulas or trying to appear special. The true power of your aura comes from a painful, deep, and real inner process, the integration of your own unconscious. It means having the courage to acknowledge your fears, your guilt, your wounds, and still choose to live in wholeness. Not perfection, but wholeness. Jung called this the process of individuation, becoming who you truly are, beyond labels, social roles, and others' approval. And this process, no matter how quiet, shines, radiates, influences, and destabilizes. Ordinary people feel threatened because deep down they know they betray themselves to belong. And when they meet someone who has already walked through this inner fire and come out without losing themselves, they don't know how to respond. You become a living reminder of everything they have yet to become. That's why you are avoided. That's why you are misunderstood. That's why you feel like you walk between worlds, belonging to everyone and no one at the same time. And here's the truth that can turn your pain into power. The rejection you experience is not a punishment. It's a certificate of authenticity, a quiet signature that you had the courage many don't even dare to dream of. From now on, every time you feel out of place, quietly repeat to yourself, "My light is real, my path is unusual, and my existence is necessary," because you are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to be real, even when the truth costs you loneliness. You are here to be light, not a decorative bulb that decorates the darkness, but a living torch that disturbs and illuminates. And while many are still trying to extinguish their own sparks to fit into broken patterns, you will learn to keep your flame alive, even if it means walking alone for a while. But ultimately, what happens when this powerful aura becomes so intense that it begins to evoke even deeper, invisible, even spiritual reactions in others? Get ready, because in the next part, we will dive into the first 5 clear signs that your presence does more than disturb, it transforms. Even if no one dares say it out loud, and perhaps upon recognizing them, you will begin to look at yourself with the quiet respect your soul has long deserved. Have you ever wondered why sometimes your mere presence is enough to change the atmosphere almost imperceptibly, yet undeniably? Why in certain situations do you feel like you carry an invisible weight that others notice but few dare to name? Carl Jung gave us valuable clues about this. Today, we will take a closer look at the first 5 clear signs that your aura, that quiet, glowing power, is truly too strong for most people. The first sign is quiet but deafening. People fear you even when you do nothing to cause it. It's not about words or actions. It's about what you carry within, that rare stability, that uncomfortable clarity. You walk into a cafe just to order a coffee, but notice the waiter nervous and hesitant, as if dealing with someone important, without knowing why. Or at a work meeting, without raising your voice or interrupting anyone, you sense quick glances and hidden discomfort. You may have once thought, maybe I'm giving off the wrong energy? Maybe I judge others? Maybe I seem arrogant? But the truth is different. Your energy field silently exposes the inner instability of others. You don't cause fear, they're just not used to the calm you radiate. The second sign is even more intriguing. You evoke both admiration and envy, often from the same people. One day, you might receive a sincere compliment, and hours later, sharp criticism from the same mouth, as if your light awakens conflicting feelings. Those who crave authenticity feel hope around you. Those clinging to their masks feel threatened. You involuntarily become the embodiment of who they dream to be and what they most fear to admit. You might recall a friendship that started with admiration but turned into inexplicable alienation, or a colleague who praised you publicly but sowed doubt behind your back. Jung taught us that we project onto others what we love and deny in ourselves. Your very existence, simply because you are honest, becomes both a mirror and a hammer. The third sign is painful but revealing. People project their own insecurities onto you. You're blamed for things you never said. You're misunderstood even when you speak with utmost caution. People distrust your kindness, doubt your intentions, as if they need to find fault to justify the discomfort they feel near you. You become the villain in stories you never wrote. And if you're not careful, you risk taking on guilt that isn't yours. How many times have you asked yourself, maybe I was wrong, when in fact you only stirred an inner struggle in someone else that they didn't want to face? This is one of the loneliest experiences of people with a strong aura, being constantly misunderstood because what you represent goes beyond what most can see. The fourth sign is deeply emotional. You provoke strong reactions in strangers. Often, people you've never met share their deepest secrets or painful confessions with you, as if something inside you quietly calls out, "Here you can be yourself." Or, on the contrary, you notice hostile reactions, sideways glances, and harsh remarks for no apparent reason. Your aura acts as an invitation or a threat, depending on how ready the other person is to meet themselves. Perhaps you remember a brief chat in a supermarket line that suddenly turned into an outpouring of losses, regrets, and fears, or a stranger who reacted with irritation just because you sincerely looked them in the eyes. Your energy is a call for truth, and not everyone is ready to answer. And now we come to the fifth sign. You are called too intense, too deep, too sensitive. In a world that values shallow conversations, automatic smiles, and relationships based on appearances, being someone who feels deeply and speaks from the heart is seen as a threat. You might have heard phrases like, "You think too much, feel too much, you complicate everything." But deep down, you know those who live on the surface fear depth. Not because it's wrong, but because it demands courage, dedication, and rebirth. These 5 signs are not judgment, they are affirmation. You are not mistaken, not excessive, but real. And that's why you are uncomfortable for those still living in illusion. Carl Jung knew the path to wholeness is not easy. It requires walking through inner deserts most prefer to ignore. It demands loyalty to oneself, even when it costs the comfort of collective acceptance. Have you ever noticed how the simple presence of a person can change the entire atmosphere of a place? As if the air becomes denser, conversations shift, and glances cross in search of invisible explanations. If you feel this happens to you, it's time to understand. This is no coincidence. It's your energy, your aura, effortlessly reshaping the invisible structure around you. Carl Jung knew that the collective unconscious, the invisible web connecting all human souls, responds immediately to genuine vibrations. When you behave sincerely, you don't just occupy space, you reorganize the energetic field that everyone around is immersed in. Sign number 6. You change the energy of the environment just by being present. Imagine an ordinary day, a group of people casually chatting in a room. Surface-level laughter, minor complaints, fleeting distractions. Suddenly you enter, not speaking loudly, not making extravagant gestures, you just walk in. And no one understands why, but the laughter dies down, posture shifts, energy fluctuates. Some may feel uncomfortable, while others suddenly want to form a more genuine connection. Why does this happen? Because your aura acts like a seismograph of truth. It detects where masks exist and where suppressed realities lie. Your mere presence invites, or better said, demands, an internal reset. Have you experienced this? If so, share in the comments the most curious moment when you felt the atmosphere change just because you were there. Sign number 7. You effortlessly spark deep conversations. You don't need to deliver grand speeches or ask existential questions. Simply being emotionally available is enough, and the world unfolds before you. People who were talking about trivial things just minutes ago suddenly feel the need to share their deepest fears, most shameful doubts, and secret dreams. It's as if your aura says, "Here, you can be who you truly are, without shame." And many respond to this call without even understanding why. How many times have you ended a casual conversation feeling the weight of stories others wouldn't even share with their closest friends? This isn't about being a therapist for others. It's about unintentionally becoming a portal to truths that others deny until they face them. But have you considered what this demands from you? Carrying such a quiet responsibility is not easy. Here lies a subtle dilemma. How to be that safe space without letting someone else's pain invade your inner territory? The answer begins to emerge from awareness. Not every truth that surfaces needs to be fully embraced. You offer a mirror, but you're not obligated to carry all the reflections. Sign number 8. You naturally repel superficial people. You don't need to utter a single reproach or wave flags of authenticity. Your energy does the work for you. Those who live on appearances, who build castles in the sand with easy compliments and mechanical smiles, feel uncomfortable. Some quietly leave, others try to diminish your presence with irony, veiled jokes, or forced indifference. And here's an unexpected twist you might not have heard before. This is a blessing, not a loss. Have you ever regretted losing connections that were never really genuine? Have you ever felt guilty for pushing away people who only circled around you seeking recognition, status, or entertainment? Maybe it's time to rethink that story within yourself. Your energy is doing natural selection, a process your mind would have taken much longer to complete. People who live on the surface can't swim in the depths, while you, whether you like it or not, carry the weight of the ocean. Sign 9, you either energize people or drain them. This might be the most intriguing sign. After being with you, some people walk away glowing, as if they've just rediscovered something they didn't even know they'd lost. Others, however, leave feeling depleted, exhausted, even hostile. Have you noticed how sometimes, after a meeting, you feel burdened by an emotional weight that's not yours? Or, conversely, how certain encounters leave you refreshed, inspired, and lighthearted? This happens because your energy field acts like an emotional amplifier. To those ready to grow, your presence is like sunlight on fertile soil. To those stuck in denial, your field becomes a mirror that magnifies their inner cracks. Here's a question. Can you tell who is drawn to you out of genuine affection and who just wants to feed off your light? If you've ever walked away from a situation emotionally drained without understanding why, share it in the comments. Your story might illuminate the path for someone going through the same thing but still lacking the words to describe it. But there's something even deeper to consider. Your aura is not neutral. It either heals or confronts, and sometimes it does both at once. You're not responsible for how others feel, but wisdom lies in recognizing the reactions your presence evokes. Carl Jung taught us that the collective unconscious reacts in ways the conscious mind can't immediately grasp. When you align with your true nature, you stir ancient symbols lying dormant in others. You may awaken memories, traumas, or inspirations without saying a single word. So the next question arises: how do you protect this power without suppressing it? How do you preserve the purity of your energy in a world that often seeks to manipulate, drain, or distort it? If you've made it this far in the video, chances are you've long felt that your path is different. That your pain, your joy, your silent unease, they aren't flaws. They're signs of a soul awakened in a time when most are still asleep. So take a deep breath. And remember, your restlessness is a sign that you're still alive in a world that's grown numb. You didn't come here to please. You didn't come here to disappear. You came here to be whole. And it's this wholeness, this uncomfortable, necessary light, that the world, even without realizing it, desperately needs to feel whole again. If you feel this within yourself, leave a comment. I feel it. Let's build a space together for those who, like you, no longer fit into the old molds. Have you ever wondered why some people simply can't stay around you for long? Or why others, even without knowing you deeply, try to shrink your presence through subtle jabs, quiet competition, or emotional manipulation disguised as kindness? Carl Jung warned us that when a person starts becoming whole, they inevitably become a rupture point for those still trapped in their masks. Today, we're diving even deeper into the invisible signs and unexpected consequences of having a powerful aura, and how it operates even on the most unconscious levels of social life. How many times have you noticed that as you became more honest with yourself, some friendships quietly faded and certain bonds dissolved without drama, simply because the vibrations no longer matched? If you've ever felt this silent transformation, leave a comment. I've lived it. Let's create a space here to honor this path. Painful, yet deeply liberating. The depth of your transformation goes far beyond anything you can measure. While you've been strengthening yourself from within, the world kept demanding performance, image, appearance. But you quietly chose to be presence. You chose to be essence. You chose to be whole, and it's that wholeness that unsettles those still living in fragments. There's an old Zen story that illustrates this truth well. A young monk asked his master why, when he entered certain villages, people seemed restless, avoided his gaze, or even rejected him. The master replied, "When a lit torch is brought into a dark cave, eyes accustomed to darkness feel not gratitude, but pain. You are that torch. Your mission is not to dim your light to comfort the blind, but to stay lit until they are ready to see. You too are that torch, and part of your mission is to endure rejection, misunderstanding, and still remain lit." But here's one last truth that may surprise you. Emotional neuroscience has shown that an entire environment can shift its vibration due to the presence of just one emotionally integrated person. You don't need to change cities, jobs, or social circles to have an impact. You simply need to remain whole, consistent, and true. Your quiet light is already a revolution. And while many try to figure out why they feel small around you, your only task is to keep growing. Not to become greater than others, but to stay faithful to the divine seed you carry within. In the end, to live authentically is to accept being misunderstood by those still living through appearances. You may have asked yourself at some point along this journey, if my aura is so strong, why does it often bring discomfort, rejection, or loneliness? That's a valid and profound question. And now is the time not just for comfort, but for clarity. We've already seen that a powerful aura isn't a decoration. It's a sign of deep integration, a reflection of a soul courageous enough to let go of roles, masks, and silent compromises that the world demands every day. But this invisible force, though beautiful, comes with a price. The price of not fitting in. The price of breaking molds that were never made for those who chose wholeness. The discomfort you feel isn't a mistake in the process. It is the process. It's the tension between your growing authenticity and the artificiality still dominant in the world around you. With every step closer to your truth, you naturally drift away from old standards, from people clinging to illusions, from environments where inner light is seen as a threat. You're not becoming more alone. You're becoming more selective. And if that selectiveness still hurts, it's because your heart is big enough to crave connection, but wise enough not to accept just any presence out of fear of being alone. Now let's close a few wounds opened by the truths we've faced. First, no, you are not being punished for who you are. The rejection you face is a thermometer of your transformation's depth. Second, no, you don't need to change your essence to be more accepted. Any acceptance bought at the price of your truth would be a quiet betrayal of your own soul. Third, no, you are not responsible for carrying the emotional weight of the world. Your job is not to save others from their darkness. Your job is to keep your light burning, so that those who choose to awaken may find their way. Fourth, yes, you can and must protect your energy, but do so not by becoming bitter, guarded, or cold. Real protection is born from mature compassion, not from emotional walls. You can remain a space of love, but now a selective, conscious, sovereign one. Fifth, yes, you are ready for what comes next. Life itself has already prepared you, with its falls, losses, and unanswered questions. Every moment you felt misunderstood, every time you questioned whether it was worth staying true to yourself, strengthened you. You are already stronger than you think, more resilient than you ever wanted to be, more sincere than most dare to be. And now we've come to the most important part. What to do with all this? How to live an authentic life without becoming a hostage of isolation. How to carry a powerful aura without losing yourself in guilt, exhaustion, or arrogance. The answer is as old as the questions. Presence. Real presence. Daily presence. Conscious presence. It means understanding that you don't need to fight for recognition, that you don't need to explain, justify, or adapt yourself. It means accepting that some doors will close, some voices will go silent, some gazes will turn away, and that this is not a sign of failure, but a sign of alignment. It means cultivating, every day, the kind of solitude that is not rejection, but initiation. The kind of silence that is not emptiness, but the beginning of something new. The kind of love that doesn't ask for applause but quietly blooms in the depths of the soul. Simply from the joy of existing. Presence means living as if existence itself is already the answer, even when the world doesn't yet know what the question was. And now I invite you to take one more step, to turn all this knowledge that has touched your mind and heart into living practice, into real transformation. If you felt truth in the words you heard so far, if some sleeping part of you awakened during this journey, then it's time to act, to structure that awakening, to amplify that light, so that it not only survives the storms of life but expands, strengthens, and becomes a beacon for others who are still wandering in the dark. In the next few minutes, I will guide you through a practical, deep, and accessible step-by-step plan, so you can apply everything you've learned into your daily life. It's an inner action plan that will help you protect, nourish, and expand your aura without losing the softness, strength, and essence that make you exactly the person the world needs, even if it doesn't know it yet. It's time to move from simple understanding to action. It's time to live, and I will be here to show you how. Now that we've walked together through this journey of deep understanding, through the invisible influence of your aura on the world, we arrive at the most important moment, putting it all into practice. Because knowledge without action is like a seed forgotten in dry soil. The potential is there, but life does not bloom. If you've reached this point, it's because, deep down, you know you can no longer abandon yourself. You can no longer dim your light just to fit into tight spaces. You can no longer beg your truth to be accepted by those who have not yet learned to value authenticity. And so, today, I want to offer you more than reflection. A real, concrete plan so you can begin to live in alignment with that quiet strength we've carried together until now. A strategic plan. How to protect, nourish, and expand your powerful aura. 1. Cultivate intentional solitude. Every day, set aside at least 15 minutes to be alone, with no distractions, no noise, no pressure to be useful to anyone but your soul. This is your inner sanctuary, where your energy is recalibrated away from the demands of the world. It can be a walk, a silent meditation, or just a moment of contemplation while looking at the sky. What matters is the daily commitment to listen to yourself before offering yourself to others. 2. Develop energetic intuition. Learn to sense without guilt when an environment or a person is draining your energy. The key question is simple. Do I feel more whole or more fragmented after this interaction? If the answer is fragmented, leave quietly. Not out of fear, not out of judgment, but out of love for yourself. Your peace is your most sacred compass. 3. Learn to say no as an act of love. Saying no doesn't mean rejecting others. It means accepting yourself. Every time you say no to a situation, an invitation, or energy that throws you off balance, you are saying yes to your higher purpose, your integrity, your quiet and steady growth. 4. Strengthen the awareness of your hidden worth. Each day, write down one quality of yours that doesn't rely on external validation. Something that is uniquely yours, innate, real. A kind gesture, an honest word, an authentic presence. Over time, this quiet practice rewrites how you see yourself, not as someone in need of approval, but as someone already whole in essence. 5. Choose your battles wisely. Not every criticism deserves a reply. Not every provocation deserves your energy. Sometimes your absence is the most powerful answer you can give. Learn to invest your energy only where it bears fruit, and never again where it needs to be justified. 6. Turn your presence into a quiet mission. This is not about converting anyone, teaching lessons, or seeking followers. It's about living in a way that your very existence becomes an invitation to truth. Be living proof that it is possible to be whole in a world of halves. 7. Restore balance when you feel off course. And when, because it will happen, you feel disconnected, anxious, doubtful, or tired, do not blame yourself. Do not judge yourself. Simply return. Begin again. Reconnect with your deeper self. The spiritual path is not a straight line. It is a circle of eternal returns to what truly matters. 8. Protect the divine child within you. Inside you lives a spark that has never been dimmed. A part of you that still knows how to love without fear, dream without limits, trust without question. This child is the source of your purest light. Guard it like the most precious treasure because it is. 9. Connect your strength to something greater than yourself. Your aura is not only about you. It's an expression of something beyond you. When you live aligned with higher purposes, like healing, truth, or compassion, your energy becomes a channel, not a burden. You stop carrying the weight of the world and start lighting it up. 10. Remember, your very existence is already an answer. You have nothing to prove. You don't need to convince anyone. Just stay true to your essence. And in doing so, you quietly become a light for those who have eyes to see. These steps, practiced with patience and devotion, can radically transform not only your life experience, but also the way you influence the world around you.